Zio earns considerably more money than he did 5 years ago, so naturally he should feel considerably richer. There is only one problem. His bank account appears to have missed the announcement. His salary went up, his apartment improved, his car improved, his restaurants improved, his phone improved. Even the water he buys now seems to have attended university. And somehow, the amount left at the end of the month barely changed. So where did the raise go? Because the answer isn't simply Zio spends too much. Something much more interesting happened. His entire definition of normal became more expensive. And once that happens, a bigger salary can disappear without ever feeling like a spending spree. A pay raise feels powerful when it arrives. Imagine Zio's monthly take-home income moves from $4,000 to $4,600. $600 extra dollars. At first, that feels enormous. Zio calculates he could save more, invest more, build an emergency fund. Maybe finally stop treating his savings account as a decorative feature. For the first month, he really does feel richer. But then something subtle starts happening. Not a Lamborghini, not a yacht, nothing dramatic enough to trigger financial alarms. Just a slightly better apartment, a nicer restaurant more often, a more convenient commute, a better phone plan, a few premium versions of things he already used. 6 months later, the raise is still arriving, but the feeling of having received it is gone. And that transition, from extra money to ordinary money, has a name. It's called lifestyle creep, or lifestyle inflation. As income increases, spending tends to rise with it. The dangerous part is the word creep. It usually doesn't arrive as one enormous decision. It happens through dozens of small upgrades. Zio used to spend $1,200 on rent. Now $1,450 feels reasonable. Coffee used to be occasional. Now it's part of the commute. Delivery was a treat. Now cooking feels strangely ambitious for a Wednesday. His old car still worked, but now that his income is higher, the newer one feels appropriate. Each decision can be perfectly defensible. That's why lifestyle creep is difficult to notice. There isn't necessarily one irresponsible purchase. There is simply a sequence of increasingly expensive things becoming normal. And that word, normal, is where the psychology really starts. Because once an upgrade becomes normal, your brain performs a slightly inconvenient trick. It stops feeling like an upgrade. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. Humans adapt remarkably quickly to improvements. New apartment? Amazing. For a while. New car? Exciting. For a while. New phone? You admire it carefully for 3 days. Then one morning you're using a $1,000 engineering miracle to check whether it might rain. The extraordinary becomes ordinary. This is sometimes described as the hedonic treadmill. Your circumstances improve, your expectations adjust, and soon you're emotionally standing in roughly the same place. This doesn't mean improvements are pointless. It means the pleasure from many upgrades fades faster than the cost. The excitement from the new car may decline. The car payment is admirably committed to the relationship. And this creates one of the central problems of lifestyle inflation. The feeling is temporary. The recurring expense is not. And recurring expenses are where a pay raise can become trapped surprisingly quickly. Suppose Zio's raise gives him $600 more each month. Then he upgrades his apartment. Plus $200. A nicer car. Plus $180. Insurance rises. Plus $40. A premium gym. Plus $35. A couple of subscriptions. Plus $30. Suddenly the raise hasn't disappeared because Zio went shopping one weekend. It has been converted into fixed monthly commitments. That matters, because optional spending can stop. Fixed costs have opinions. Rent arrives every month. Car payments arrive every month. Insurance arrives every month. Subscriptions have already demonstrated that they can survive long after anyone remembers inviting them. Once income turns into recurring commitments, your financial flexibility shrinks. And here's the strange part. Zio may genuinely feel he isn't spending extravagantly, because he isn't buying luxurious things every day. He simply upgraded the baseline. But fixed costs aren't the only thing that expand. There is another category that grows almost invisibly with income. Convenience. When money is tight, inconvenience often saves money. You cook, you wait, you repair, you compare prices, you take the slower option. As income rises, buying back time becomes easier. Food delivery, ride services, faster shipping, premium seats, cleaning services, upgraded software. Someone else assembling the furniture because apparently 4 screws now constitute an unacceptable attack on personal freedom. None of these is automatically a bad purchase. Time has value. Convenience has value. The problem appears when convenience quietly changes from "this is worth paying for occasionally" to "this is simply how life works now." That is lifestyle creep without a luxury label. And because each upgrade solves a real annoyance, it rarely feels wasteful. Which leads to the mistake people often make when trying to measure whether they're getting richer. They look at income. Instead, watch what happens to the gap. Imagine 2 people. Person A earns $4,000 per month and spends $3,200. $800 remains. Person B earns $7,000 and spends $6,700. $300 remains. Who has the higher income? Obviously, person B. Who has more monthly financial breathing room? Person A. This is why earning more and becoming financially stronger are related but not identical. If every income increase produces an almost equal lifestyle increase, the gap doesn't grow. And that gap is what creates options: savings, investments, emergency reserves, career flexibility, the ability to survive an unpleasant surprise without introducing your credit card to several emotional support purchases. The goal isn't necessarily to keep spending frozen forever. It's to make sure the gap expands too. But why is that so difficult? Because after a raise, the old lifestyle can suddenly begin feeling strangely inadequate. Before the raise, Zio's apartment was perfectly acceptable. After the raise, suddenly he notices the kitchen, the commute, the neighborhood, the lack of a second bathroom nobody needed 6 weeks ago. Nothing changed about the apartment. Zio changed. More precisely, his reference point changed. Once he knows what he can afford, possibilities that once looked luxurious start looking reasonable. Then reasonable starts looking normal. And normal starts looking necessary. That's how lifestyle inflation often works. Not "I am going to become extravagant," but "at my income level, shouldn't I be able to have this?" That's a much more persuasive sentence, because it turns consumption into something that feels like appropriate progress. Apparently, every salary band comes with an unofficial furniture requirement. And this explains why simply promising yourself, "I'll save the next raise," often fails. By the time the raise feels normal, your brain has already found jobs for it. Think of a raise as unclaimed money. For a short period after it appears, that money has no established purpose. This is the opportunity window. If Zio does nothing, his lifestyle will often volunteer. Maybe not immediately, but gradually. That's why lifestyle creep can be more powerful than one-time overspending. One expensive holiday eventually ends. A higher baseline keeps sending invoices. So instead of asking, "How do I stop spending more forever?" try a better question. How much of every raise am I willing to let become lifestyle? Now the upgrade becomes deliberate. Maybe Zio decides half the raise improves life, half strengthens his finances. Suddenly spending more isn't failure. It's planned. But there is an important trap here. You don't want to become so afraid of lifestyle creep that earning more changes absolutely nothing. The point of money is not to accumulate the largest possible number while experiencing no detectable enjoyment. If your income rises, improving your life can be completely rational. A safer home, a shorter commute, better food, useful travel, more comfortable furniture, help that saves meaningful time, experiences you genuinely value. The problem isn't upgrading, it's automatic upgrading. Lifestyle creep becomes dangerous when spending rises simply because income rose. The useful distinction is intentional lifestyle improvement versus unnoticed lifestyle inflation. One is a choice. The other is a new baseline you discover later, while wondering why your raise accomplished nothing. So how do you actually capture a raise before your lifestyle does? Zio needs 4 rules. And the first one happens before the money even reaches his account. 1. Decide the split before payday. Suppose the raise is $600. Before it arrives, Zio decides 300 improves life, 300 builds the future. Not after 3 months, before. Because money without a job tends to accept job offers from restaurants surprisingly quickly. 2. Automate the future portion. Savings, investing, debt repayment, whatever fits the goal. The important psychological trick is simple. Make the stronger financial choice happen before lifestyle decisions compete with it. 3. Upgrade selectively. Choose the categories that genuinely improve life. Maybe the apartment matters? Fine. Then perhaps the car doesn't need to upgrade at the same time. Better life does not require every spending category to receive a promotion. 4. Watch recurring costs. A $200 monthly upgrade isn't a $200 decision. It's $2,400 per year, and potentially much more if it continues for years. That annual number exposes something monthly pricing likes to hide. Your new normal has a long memory. Whenever CEO considers a permanent lifestyle upgrade, he multiplies it by 12. 150 more rent, $1,800 a year. $90 car upgrade, $1,080. $60 of extra memberships and subscriptions, $720. Suddenly, small improvements start introducing themselves properly. This doesn't mean reject them. It means judge them at their real scale. Then ask, would I deliberately spend this annual amount to improve this part of my life? If yes, excellent. Now it's intentional. If no, the monthly number may have been doing some psychological heavy lifting. This is one of the simplest ways to stop lifestyle creep, without pretending you still earn your old salary. But even this doesn't solve the deepest problem, because CEO doesn't decide what counts as normal entirely by himself. At $40,000 a year, Zio imagines, if I earn 60, I'd be comfortable. Then he earns 60. Now 80 looks comfortable. At 80, maybe 100. This is the moving finish line, created partly by hedonic adaptation. Better conditions become familiar. Expectations rise. Yesterday's aspiration becomes today's baseline. And without a conscious definition of enough, every increase can simply create the next target. That is why more money can produce more comfort without producing much more feeling of abundance. The lifestyle expands. The expectations expand. The finish line politely relocates. Very efficient cardio. So the question isn't whether Zio should want more. It's whether he notices when more quietly becomes minimum acceptable. So where did Zio's pay raise go? Not into one ridiculous purchase. It disappeared into a new normal. A slightly nicer home. A slightly nicer car. Slightly easier food. Slightly more convenience. Slightly more premium everything. Lifestyle creep turned extra income into ordinary spending. Hedonic adaptation made the upgrades feel normal. And once normal changed, going backwards started feeling like sacrifice. That's why the smartest moment to decide what a raise will do is before you get used to having it. Capture part of the increase. Enjoy part of the increase. But don't let every extra dollar silently join your cost of being yourself. But there's still something missing. Why does our idea of a normal lifestyle keep getting more expensive in the first place? Where do those expectations come from? Because CEO isn't choosing his baseline alone. His friends have one, his coworkers have one, his neighborhood has one, and his phone shows him several thousand more before breakfast. So next, why other people's money makes you feel poor? Because sometimes nothing about your finances has changed except who you're comparing them to.